classification model that we are using. So now you have a training set and you have a test set. In the training sets, that each row is called the record. So in each record, you have these some transactions ID, you have some attribute 1, attribute 2, attribute 3, and you have some class label. Okay, so there's a binary class, so there's a yes or this no. So now you have to induce these informations. So there's a inductions, then apply some learning algorithm. So here we have to apply learning algorithm. It's called the decision tree to learn this model. Then this model has been learned. Then after that you have to test it. Now you have to apply the model and you have to deduce the informations for testing. That these unknown data sets which is given to you without any class level, then you have to apply these learning algorithms. The model that has been developed based on the learning algorithm, it will classify each and every record. Okay, that is your job. So we are going to see how the decision tree can be applied in that case. So now, so far these are the base classifiers that we have discussed. There's a decision tree based method we'll discuss. There's a k-nearest rule based method. Then this is nearest neighbor classifier. Neural network we have discussed. Deep learning, it is still left. Naive Bayes and Bayes decisions rule or Bayes we have already discussed. Support vector machine we have discussed. So after that, there is an important piece. It's called the ensembling of the classifiers. Okay. So now ensemble in the classifier. Under the ensemble classifiers, there's a 3 different things are coming. There's a bagging, boosting, and random forest. So those are called the ensemble of the classifier, and it can be used some different type of applications. Okay. Probably I don't have time to discuss the ensemble of the classifier, but you please follow the book. There's a Bipin Kumar book of the data mining where all the things have been already there. So we will only focus on this, the decision tree. Okay, how a decision tree can be used. So it is a very powerful classifier and it can be used in a wide variety of applications. So suppose there's a, as you can see, there's an example of the decision tree. So I think all of you know the tree. Okay, so in the tree you have seen you have to have one root node, you have some internal nodes, and you have leaf node. Or leaf node, or you can say this is a terminal nodes. Okay, so now in the that is it, how the classifications with decision tree will work. That now you can take we can think of a simple version, a classification problem. Suppose you have a vertebrate. Although this example is not there, it is there in this book. You have a vertebrate, and you have to classify the vertebrates into 2 categories. One is called the mammals, another is called the non-mammals. Okay, so now these are the 2 class classification. One is called the mammal, another is called the non-mammal. So now, suppose if new species has been discovered by the scientists, then how can you tell that whether this new species is comes under the mammal or it is a non-mammal? Okay, then what is your approach? So your approach will be, first you need to find a series of questions about these characteristics of the species. Now, first questions that you can ask, that whether this species is cold or it is a warm-blooded. Okay, if this species is cold-blooded or it is a warm-blooded. Now, if it is cold-blooded, then it is not definitely not a mammal. Otherwise, it is either a bird or a mammal. Okay. Now, in the latter case, you can ask the other question: do the females of the species give birth to their young? Okay, means is the species is having this ability to give birth to their young? Okay. Now, those who give birth, so they are definitely mammals, and those who do not are likely to be non-mammals. There are 2 things that will happen. So you have several questions. So based on the several questions, when the new species is coming, then you need to classify whether this new species comes under the mammal or it is a non-mammal. Okay. So now after analyzing this series of questions and the possible answer. So now you are going to develop a decision tree. So the actual decision tree is nothing but it is a hierarchical structure. As you can see, there is a tree. So tree data structure that you have learned. Okay. So similarly, the decision tree, it is a hierarchical structure. It consists of the nodes, different nodes, and you have some directed edges. As you can see, you are seeing some directed edges. So the decision tree, it is a hierarchical structure. It consists of nodes and the directed edges. Now, if you just apply that, you will have to develop, or you'll have to grow, or you'll have to build a decision tree for this, multivariate classification. Then, so every, every problem that can be solved using the decision tree, that this tree will have three types of nodes. As you can see in this graph, you have the three types of node. One is called the root node. So in the root node, as you can see, that it has no incoming edges and zero or more outgoing edges. So the root node has no incoming edges, it will have zero or more outgoing edges. Now internal nodes, okay, internal nodes means each of which has exactly one incoming edge and two or more outgoing edges. Okay, that is called the internal nodes. Now next one is called the leaf node. So leaf node is called as a terminal nodes. Okay, and these internal node are called the non-terminal nodes. Okay, and the root node is also comes under the non-terminal node. Now the leaf node are terminal nodes, each of which has exactly one incoming edge and no outgoing edge. So that is called the terminal nodes. So now in the decision tree, that each leaf node, as you can see, this is a decision tree that has been shown in this PPT, that each incoming leaf node is assigned to a class level. As you can see that this class level is no, yes. So in this model, so now in the decision tree, that each leaf node is assigned to a class level, and the non-terminal nodes, which include the root node and other internal nodes, it contain, okay, attribute test condition. That is very important, because every time what you have to do in the internal node or node in the or this root node, you will have to split the attributes. So you'll have to split the attributes. So that's why you need to have a attribute test condition. So splitting criteria. So in the decision tree, that you'll have to grow the model, or you'll have to grow the decision tree. Now the growing of the decision tree will be done based on the splitting the attributes or the splitting the node. So now on what condition the node can be split up. So that is the thing that you will have to apply different techniques. Okay. So now it contains this non-terminal node, which include the root node and other terminal or other internal nodes. It will contain attribute test condition in order to separate the records, okay, that have the different characteristics. So if you find that the records that have the different characteristics, so you need to apply there is a attribute test condition. Okay, suppose in the example of this mammal and non-mammals, so now if you take that, you take the body temperature. So body temperature, it is an attribute, so it will separate the warm-blooded vertebrates from the cold-blooded vertebrates. So now this is a.
You change the slides.
Actually, I am not. Changing this slide. Actually, these examples, this slide is not there. I'm just telling you. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, so I'll just share this PDF. So because in this slide, this graph is missing. Okay, this tree structure. So I'm just telling you how you can develop it. Suppose you have extract some features from the mammal and the non-mammal. You are going to identify. Okay, so body temperature is one of the features because it has got the different characteristics. So whenever you find a record that have the different characteristics, then you can apply the attribute test condition. Okay. So now in the body temperature, that you can split this node. If you just split the node, then you have this. Two vertebrates. You have warm-blooded vertebrates and the cold-blooded vertebrates. Okay, and since all cold-blooded vertebrates are non-mammals, okay, now these you can have find a leaf node that will be labeled with the non-memory. So in this way you can carry on. So the way that it is there now, these are the training sets, because you have a 10 records. For each record corresponding to homeowner is yes. It is a categorical attributes. Then marital status, single, married or divorced. Then the annual income, it is in continuous attributes. Then there is a defaulted borrower. So if the loan is repaid, so if you have the defaulted borrower, then a borrower, then you have that is the loan has to be paid or not. So that is the thing. So in this way you can also think of it, you can draw it. So now main question is that how to build a decision tree. Okay, now whenever you find a leaf node, if it is a label, then there is a, here you can find there is a no, no, yes, no. So these are all the, there is a leaf node. So the leaf nodes generally you can have, there is a class labels that you can have. Okay, so now this class label actually associated with a leaf node. Okay, and then it is assigned to a particular record. So now how to build a decision tree? The question comes how to build a decision tree. So now in principle, so there are exponentially many decision trees. In principle, there are exponentially many decision trees, okay, which can be constructed from a given set of attributes. So in the table, in the training set, so these are these training sets. So where the records are being captured. Now here on this, based on these training sets, so you can grow or you can develop the exponentially many decision tree that can be constructed. And while there is some of the trees are more accurate than others. Okay, now your job is that, I mean, to finding an optimal decision tree. So it is computationally infeasible. Why infeasible to find the optimal decision tree? Because of the exponential size of the search space. As you can find, there is exponentially many decision tree, and to find the optimal decision tree, you need to search your search space are exponential. So that is why it is computationally infeasible. But the still efficient algorithms that has been developed, okay, to induce, as you can see, there is a induction is there to induce a reasonably accurate decision tree in a reasonable amount of time. So obviously there is some algorithm that I'll tell you, that is which will help you to find or to develop build a decision tree with a reasonable amount of time. Now these algorithms actually it is exhibit employ a greedy strategy. There is a greedy algorithm which grows the decision tree by making a series of locally optimum decisions. Okay, I mean the attributes and to use the partitioning the data. So as you can see, we are going to have this is an, firstly we'll have to use this is a homeowner. So I am taking that homeowner is my first attribute. Okay, so now in the homeowner that I am having the different set of values, yes, no. So that's why I'm just splitting these attributes. Now for the sake of illustrations, I am assuming that this homeowner is my this base attribute to be split up. Okay, but after understanding these which techniques can be applied for splitting, then only you can decide that out of the 3 attributes you should follow that this which attribute to be split up. But for the present moment, for understanding that I'm taking that homeowner is this splitting attributes. Okay, and then it has got, there is a yes and no. Now if it is yes, then this things is I mean defaulter is no, and if it is no, then you will have the marital status that you will have to check. Okay, now if the homeowner is this is not no, it is the person is not a homeowner, then you will have to check that is a marital status. Now in the marital status you have a single or divorced, then you have married. Then in the single and divorced, then you can go if the person is single or the person is divorced, then you have to check his income. whether the income is less than of 80,000 K, then so it is no. Okay, it means the defaulter borrower is no. And if it is greater than 80,000 K, then this defaulter borrower is yes. So this is this way that you can. Actually, I am not telling you it is an optimal decision tree. Okay, so this way you can grow the decision tree. So if you just grow a training set, based on the training set, if you just develop a decision tree that any test set which is coming to you, then you can test it. Now we'll see. As you can see that there is another example of the decision tree. Now instead of taking this homeowner as a root node, here we are taking the material status as a root node. Okay. Next, you just grow the tree in this direction. Then you can finally have these things. So now, how do you grow it? Then there is a splitting criteria. So now there is a splitting criteria is there that I'll explain to you. And there could be more than one decision tree which fits the same data. Okay. Next is now whenever you are going to apply the model that you have developed and to test the data. So actually here you can see, so you have developed the decision tree. Now the test data is homeowner, yes, marital status, married, annual income 80K. Then now you have to find this, what is the class level. I mean defaulted, whether the person is defaulted borrower or not. Okay, so now that is check, it is a homeowner, then obviously it is going for this no. Then you have to grow the node, or you have to visit in that directions where these things is being satisfied. Then marital status, married, 80K, then assign, there is a defaulted to no. I mean the person is not this defaulted borrower. So now these things is there that in the classifications job that we have seen. As I already told you, this how to grow a decision tree. So here there is a one algorithm that is being used, that is called the Hunt's algorithm, HUNTS. Okay, Hunt's algorithm that is applied, that is a based on the existing decision tree inductions algorithm. So you have to apply the Hunt's algorithm that to grow the decision tree. Okay, in a recursive fashion. That we'll see. That is an if this there's a training set is there, then you have to draw the decision tree by applying this concept. You have to induce a decision tree like the tree inductions algorithm. There's a learning model. Then when the model is being done, then you have to apply this model. Then you have to deduce these things the same way that we have done. So now these are the decision tree induction algorithm. One is called the Hunt's algorithm. So we'll only today we'll discuss. There's a Hunt's algorithm. There's another thing is called the CART. Classification and regression tree. This name. There's a ID3 C4.5. So these are the many algorithms. So decision tree, how to grow a decision tree, how to build the decision tree. So these algorithms are being used, but we'll be using, that is this algorithm that basically will be applying this greedy approach to grow a decision tree by making a series of locally optimum decisions and which attributes to use for partitioning the data. So you have to take the attributes to partitioning the data, and once such algorithm is called, it is one of the earliest algorithms called the Hunt's algorithm, and it is actually the basis of many existing decision tree induction algorithms, including ID3, C4.5, and this CART. Now we'll see some discussion on the Hunt's algorithm. We'll have to illustrate with some example. Now the Hunt's, there is a general structure of the Hunt's algorithm. So now in Hunt's algorithm, a decision tree can be grown in a recursive fashion. Okay, a decision tree can be grown in a recursive fashion by partitioning the training records into successively purer subsets. Okay, let the DT be the set of training records which are associated with node T, and you have y is equal to y1, y2, y3. So these are the class level. Okay, now let DT be a set of training records which are associated with a node T, and you have y is equal to y1 to y C class. Then these are the class level. Now these things, there are general procedures to be followed. So it is a recursive way to understand the Hans algorithm. So now what are the procedures? You have only two steps. First step, if all the records in DT, so what is DT? DT is a set of training records. If all the records in DT, it belong to the same class. So same class means YT. Okay. If all the records in DT belong to the same class, then the T is a leaf node and it is labeled as YT. Fine. So you have to check whether the all records belong to the same class or not. So if the all records are belong to the same class, then is a no need to split the node again. Okay. And another way you can think of is that there is a splitting criteria that if all the records belong to the same class, or the records have the, if the records that you can find is have the different attributes. Okay. Then you have to again split up. Next is that if DT contains record, I mean DT means there is a set of training records. If DT contains record which belong to more than one class, okay, then what you have to do? Then you have to do an attribute test condition. If DT contains record that belong to more than one class, then attribute test conditions is selected to partition the records. You have to partition the records into smaller subset. You have to partition the record into smaller subset, and then a child node can be created for each outcome of the test condition. Okay, now each subset means a child node can be created for each outcome of the test condition, and the records in DT are distributed to the children based on the outcomes, and this algorithm is then recursively applied to each child node. Then this algorithm is recursively applied to each child node. So that is the concepts. Okay. Now to understand or to illustrate these concepts, they consider this problem of predicting whether a loan applicant, as you can see, that is a yes, whether the concept is that whether the loan applicant will repay her loan obligations or become there's a delinquent. Okay, that you are going to check. Okay, your job is that consider a problem which is given there, homeowner, marital status, annual income, and the defaulted borrower, that a loan applicant will repay her loan obligations or it become okay delinquent. Now subsequently defaulting on a loan, okay, whether the person is to be called as a defaulter or not. Now you have a training set for this problem that can be constructed by seeing the records of the previous borrowers. Now in this example that is being there, each record contains the personal information of a borrower along with a class level. Now the class level indicates whether the borrower has defaulted on loan payments or not. Okay. Now in the initial tree, so whenever you are going to have a initial tree for this classification problem, it contains a single node. Okay, you have to, whenever you have to grow a tree, now the initial tree means you have a root node. Now the initial tree for the classifications problem, it contains a single, as you can see, there's a initial tree for this classification problem. It contains a single node with class level defaulted is equal to no. So whenever you are going to have defaulted is equal to no, it means that most of the borrowers successfully repaid their loans. As you can see, there is a number. There is a 7%. There is a defaulted borrower is no. I mean, they are already successfully. Paid their roles, and there's a very less number. There's a three members are there. They are not successful. Then we have to choose this default is equal to no, which means that most of the borrowers successfully repaid their loans. Now the tree, however, it needs to be refined. So now, since the root node contains that the records from both classes. Okay, as you can see that the root node contains the records from both the classes, because the Hans algorithm, it says if all the records in DT belong to the same class, then T is a leaf node. Okay, if it is not, then if if DT contains record belong to more than one class, then attribute test condition is selected to partition the records into smaller subset. So then what we have to do, this tree needs to be refined, since the root node contains records from both the classes. Now these records are subsequently divided into smaller subset. So based on the outcomes of the homeowner test condition. Now we'll see there's a homeowner test condition. So that is there. So now this that the outcome of the homeowner test conditions. Now the justifications. So what is the justification for choosing the attribute test condition? Now the justification for choosing the output test conditions that we'll be discussing later. But for the present moment, we'll assuming that this is the best criterion function, or this is the best attribute, or this is the best criterion for splitting the data at this point. For the present moment, you assume that I'm choosing the homeowner, so which is this best attribute for splitting the data at this point. Now Hans algorithm, what it will do? Hans algorithm is then applied recursively to each child of the root node. Then the Hans algorithm is then applied recursively to each child of the root node. Now from the training set that is given in this table, if you just notice that all borrowers who are homeowners, they successfully repaid their loans. You just look at the table. You just look at the table and you just notice that all borrowers who are homeowners successfully repaid their loans. Okay? Then the left child of the root is therefore a leaf node level defaulted is equal to no. As you can see, so that is the defaulted is equal to no is 3, 0, and defaulted is equal to no is if there is a homeowner. Okay, then the left child of the root node or of the root is therefore a leaf node which is labeled defaulted is equal to no. Then for the right child, we need to continue applying the recursive step of the Hans algorithm until all the records belong to the same class. Okay, all the records is belong to the same class. Now the tree resulting from each recursive steps are shown in figure number C and figure number D. Okay, so this is the way that you need to, if you just apply the Hans algorithm, so it is a greedy approach that you are going to do, and there are two methods that two steps only you have to do recursively to understand that whether you have to grow the tree in these directions or not. So this is the way. Now this based on this training data set, so you have drawn the decision tree. Now whenever you are going to test it, that if your unknown samples are there, then you have to test and you'll have to follow the path in that direction. So it is being explained. So this is this way that the questions will given to you, that you have to solve that applying the Hans algorithm. So you have to draw a decision tree. So in this way that you have to apply. Now next is that this algorithm will work in every combination of attribute values in the training data sets, and each combinations that you will have a unique class level. Okay, so this is this way that you need to follow. Next is that there's a two important design issues of decision tree induction method.
आया तो नहीं, एक मिनट मोबाइल आप डाले हैं, कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं?
So can anyone just switch off your mic? So now next we'll see that what are the design issues of decision tree induction. Now how should training records be split? So that is very important. How should the training records be split? And next questions, how should the splitting procedure stop? Now a learning algorithm for inducing the decision tree, it must address the following two issues. First one is how should training records be split? So it means that each recursive step of the tree growing process, it must select an attribute test conditions. Okay, you need to follow, or because here it is a recursive algorithm, the Hunt's algorithm, and each recursive stage for growing the decision tree, an attribute test condition that has to be employed, and to divide the records into smaller subsets. First thing, and to implement these steps, this algorithm must provide a method for specifying a test conditions for different attribute types as well as an objective measures. That is why it is there. There's a method for specifying the test condition that depending on the attribute types, and you have to have some measures for evaluating the goodness of the test. I mean, this means whatever test condition that you're going to apply for different attribute types, as well as you need to follow there's a objective measures for evaluating the goodness of each test condition. I mean, each test condition must be evaluated to check whether it is efficient or not. Next thing is called how should the splitting procedure stop? Now a stopping criteria or a stopping condition is required to terminate the tree growing process. I mean, you cannot grow the tree in a infinite levels. You need to stop it at this stopping criteria is needed to terminate the tree growing process. Now a possible strategy is to continue expanding the node until either all records belong to the same class or all the records have identical attribute values. I am repeating, a possible strategy you can apply is to continue expanding a node until either all the records belong to the same class or all the records have identical attribute values. Okay, then you have to stop splitting all the records belong to the same class or it has got this identical attribute values. Now, although both the conditions are sufficient to stop any decision tree induction algorithm, and other criteria that you can apply can be imposed to allow this tree growing procedure to terminate early. I mean, you can also apply some early terminations. So before just going to make these all the steps, then you can also apply some early terminations criteria. That is also discussed in due course. So now next is called, there's a what are the methods for expressing test conditions? So method for expressing attribute test condition. What are the methods for expressing attribute test condition? So now decision tree inductions algorithm, it must provide a method for expressing an attribute test condition and its corresponding outcomes for different attribute types. And you will have the corresponding outcome for different attribute types. Now you have the binary attributes. So now depends on the attribute types. So the corresponding outcome that you will have. You have the binary attributes. You have the nominal attributes. You have the ordinal attributes. You have the continuous attributes. Now what is this? Now in the binary attributes, It depends on the number of ways to split. So there's a two types of split. One is called the two-way split, another is called the multi-way split. Now binary attributes, that is there's a binary attributes. Now so now binary attributes, that the test condition for binary attributes, it generates two potential outcome. Okay, so means annual income is greater than 8K. Yeah, there's a yes, and you'll have this no. Okay, now these nominal attributes. So although it is not there, so now in the nominal attributes, so it should these things, that is an suppose this, since a nominal attributes have many values. Okay, I'll have to check whether the nominal attribute. No, it is not there in this PPT. Yes, so you can have in the multi-way split. So now in the nominal, since a nominal attributes can have many values. So now as you can see in the marital status, you have single, you have divorce, and in this married. So now since a nominal attributes can have many values, now its test conditions can be expressed in two ways. Okay, for a multi-way split. Okay, now for a multi-way split, the number of outcomes. So actually, it is a multi-way split. Now the number of outcomes depends on the number of distinct values for the corresponding attribute. So in the multi-way split, so the number of distinct values, I mean number of outcomes depends on the number of distinct values for the corresponding attribute. Now the distinct values is single, divorce, and marriage. For the corresponding attribute is called the marital status. Now, for example, if an attribute such as marital status has three distinct values: single, married, and divorce. Now its test conditions will produce a three-way split. Okay, that's why it is called the multi-way. On the other hand, now some decision tree algorithm, like whenever we'll be discussing another decision tree algorithm, is called the CART, C-A-R-T. Is called the classification and regression tree. It will produce only binary split. So it will produce, divide this value into two subsets. The marital status, you have either married or the single or divorce. So in the CART, CRT, it will produce only binary split. Okay, now by considering that you will have 2 to the power k minus 1 ways of creating the binary partitions of the k attributes. Okay, now as you can see this diagram, I mean this figure for the binary split will have three ways of grouping and the attribute values for the marital status into two subsets. So there is a three different ways of grouping the attribute values for marital status into way, like this married, single. Married is a one set, another set is called, I mean married is a one subset, single and divorce is another subset. Now you have this single or married, divorce, single, married, or the divorce. So these are the possible way of doing this. Okay. Next is called, there is a called ordinal attributes. There is a, what is the test conditions for the ordinal attributes. So in the ordinal attributes also, so the main important things is called the ordinal attributes can also produce binary or multi-way splits. Now in the ordinal attributes values, it can be grouped as long as the grouping does not violate the ordered property. So ordering is important. So ordinal attributes means that the ordinal attributes values, it can be grouped as long as the grouping does not violate the ordering or ordered property of the attribute values. Okay, as you can see in this diagram, that is illustrated, there is a different ways of splitting the training records based on the search size attribute. Okay, search size attribute. Now the grouping that you can show, I mean you can see in this figure, there's a if you have the multi-way split, the many partition has distinct value. The search size is small, first small, then medium. So these are the order: small, medium, large, then the extra large. Now in the binary split, that it divides into two subsets. Now search size, either it will be small, medium, or there is a large and these things extra large. or you can have small or the medium, large external. Now this it will just that it preserve the order property among these attribute values. Now, whereas in the last one, the search size, if you have this small, large, or the medium, extra large, now this grouping violates the property. Okay, it violates this property because it combines the attribute values with small and large into the same partition. That is an error. Okay, so this grouping violates order property. It means that it combines, that is an, if you do in this binary split, then there's a small and large into a same partition, but it should not be like that. Okay, while the medium and extra large combine into another partition. So that is the way, that is called the ordinal attributes. Now next is test condition for the continuous attributes. So now in the continuous attribute, this test condition can be expressed as a comparison test. It is a comparison test. Suppose if capital A is less than of V with a binary outcomes, or if you have the range or a query with outcomes in the form of this one. So both okay in this way. Suppose if you have the range from there is a 10k to 10k to 25k. If the annual income is within the range of, so whenever it is a range is given, that is a 10k to 25k. So these are the either it can be a comparison test or it can be considered as a range. So the difference between this approach that has been shown in this figure, this is binary split and the multi-way, there is split. And for the binary case, the decision tree algorithm, it must consider all possible split positions. Okay, and it selects there is what is the best partition that you can have. So for the multi-way split, this algorithm must consider all possible range of continuous values. So it is a multi-way split. So you will have there is all possible range of continuous values. Okay. Then there is a what are the different ways of handling this? Okay. So now the different ways of handling it. There is a call. One approach is to apply the discretization strategy. Okay. So now the discretization strategy of splitting the attributes, splitting based on the continuous attributes. Now the discretization to form an ordinal categorical attributes. Okay. So now this discretization strategy. So after discretization, a new ordinal value will be assigned to each discretized interval. Okay, so now the discretization to form an ordinal categorical attribute. So after discretizations, a new ordinal value will be assigned to each discretized interval. Now the adjacent intervals, it can also be aggregated into a wider range. Okay, so now there's the range can be found by equal interval bucketing and or the equal frequency bucketing for clustering. So you have the two types of discretization. One is called there's a static, another is called you have a dynamic. So static means discretize once at the beginning. Dynamic means you have to have repeated each step. Next is called the binary decision. So binary, as you can see, A is less than V or A is greater than is equal to V. So it means that consider all possible splits and find the best cut. And it can be more computationally intensive. So these are the things that we need to follow. That is a discretization. So you can have there's a multi-way split. Now, how to determine the best split? So that is the things that is important. From where you have to apply the techniques. So now, how to determine the best split? So there are many measures that can be used to determine the best way to split the records, and these measures can be defined in terms of class distribution of the records before and after splitting. Now before splitting you need to find the measures, and after splitting you need to also find these measures. Okay, so now the example it is there's a gender. If you take the gender, now if the gender is yes, there's a no, there's a male female concept is there. There's a two class classifications problem, and you can take now. I mean, what you are going to do? So you have to take that is each and every attributes. So I mean, gender is an attribute, card type, and search size. You have these three attributes, and you have this customer ID also. So only you have to take these three, and you have to split that which attribute will be best. I mean, for this splitting. So now which test condition is this best? So you need to apply some measures. Now first you need to know what is, I mean, what are those measures. Afterwards that you need to do. So now how to determine the best fits? Now greedy approach that we have to first apply. So now nodes with period distributions are preferred. Okay, what does it mean? It means that suppose if you have suppose these measures that can be developed for selecting the base split are often known as this is degree of impurity of the child nodes. Okay, so the measures that you are going to do for selecting the base split are based on the degree of impurity of the child nodes. So degree of impurity that you need to compute. Now the smaller the degree of impurity, the more skewed the class distribution. Okay, for example, a node with class distribution 0, 1 has 0 impurity, whereas a node with uniform class distribution 0.5 into 0.5 has the highest impurity. Are you getting my point? So you need to measure this node impurity. Okay, so I am repeating. That is a so you have to splitting this attribute based on this node impurity measures. So the measures developed for selecting the base split are often based on the degree of impurity of the child nodes. The smaller the degree of impurity, the more skewed these class distributions. So a node with class distribution, if it is 0, 1, okay, it has 0 impurity, and whereas a node with a uniform class distribution, you have the highest impurity. So you need to do the impurity measures. So now what are the impurity measures? These are the important things that you need to find out. There's a measures of node impurity. So there's a three techniques that we are going to use. One is called the Gini index, or you can have the Gini index. Now the Gini of T is equal to 1 minus summation of J, or there's a probability of P of J given T, that is whole square. So it is called the Gini index, where C is the number of classes, and you have the entropy. So using this entropy based method, entropy T is equal to minus of J, I mean P of J given T, or log of Pj given T. Okay, or you can simply have J is equal to 0 to C minus 1. Okay, and you have a misclassification error, or there's a 1 minus, there is a max of I, probability of I given T. So now where actually in the Gini index, so you can have, so J is equal to, or you can simply have I is equal to 0 to C minus 1. That is a P of I given T. So now what is P of I given T? Now P of I given T denotes the fraction of records belonging to class I at a given node T. I am repeating, the P probability of I given T, it denotes the fraction of records belonging to class I at a given node T. Now we sometimes we omit the reference to node T, and you can express the fraction as P of I. Okay, so T means it is a node. So it is a fraction of records that is belonging to class I at a given node T. Okay, now if it is a PI, so it is implicit that you are considering this node T. So in a two-class problem, the class distribution at any node can be written as P0 and P1. If you apply this two-class classification problem, then the class distributions at any node can be written P0, comma P1, where P1 is equal to 1 minus P0. Okay. Now for the class distributions, now if we consider the class distribution before splitting is 0.5, 0.5. What does it mean? If the class distribution before splitting is 0.5 into 0.5, because if it is written C0 is equal to 0.5, C1 is equal to 0.5, what does it mean? Huh? What does it mean? If you have C0 is equal to 0.5 and C1 is equal to 0.5, this class distribution before splitting is 0.5, 0.5. What does it mean? Anyone?
The equal type probabilities.
Because you have an equal number of records from each class. Huh?
Yes, sir.
You have the equal number of records from each class. So now if you split the data using the gender attribute, then the class distribution of the child nodes are 0.6, 0.4 or 0.4 into 0.6 respectively. Although the classes are here no longer evenly distributed. Okay, so now here the splitting on the second attribute, there is a card type will result in this purer distributions. I mean this purer partition. So now these are the things that you need to see that how the impurity values. So now you have to compare the impurity measures of binary classifications problem, and P refers to the fraction of records that belonging to one of the two classes. Now if you see the observe the three measures which will attain this maximum value when the class distribution is uniform. Whenever you have the class distribution is uniform, then P is equal to 0.5. Okay, so now there is a finding the best split. Now you first compute impurity measure P before splitting, compute impurity measure M after splitting. So now before splitting भी आपको impurity measure करना है for node के लिए, after splitting भी you will have to do the impurity measures. Now compute impurity measures of each child node. Okay, compute impurity measure of each child node, and you have to have the M is this weighted impurity of children. Now you have to choose the attribute test condition that produces the highest gain. Now from the impurity measures you have to find this a gain. So gain is very much important. Okay, what is the information gain? So the information gain, how do you compute it? That is an you have to choose the attribute test condition that produces the highest gain. So either or it is equivalent to lowest impurity measure or the highest gain. Okay, after splitting M, that is also important. So gain you have to compute P minus M. So to determine that how well a test condition performs, you need to compare the degree of impurity of the parent node before splitting with the degree of impurity of the child node after splitting. The larger their difference, the better the test condition. So now you want to test that whether which test condition is best. Now what you have to do, that in order to determine how well a test condition performs, we need to compare the degree of impurity of the parent node before splitting with the degree of impurity of the child node after splitting. Now the larger the difference, I mean there is a information gain. Okay, the larger the difference, the better the test condition. Okay, and the gain, it is sometimes known as a delta. It is a criterion that can be used to determine there is a goodness of split. So as you can see, I am mentioning this on how much split is important. There's a goodness of split. Now goodness of split can be determined. There is a this is called the information gain. So you can have P minus M. So in this way you can do it. So now I'll explain to you in the next class that I'm just told this topic with some numerical example. That is how do you find this? You have to calculate this information gain. You have to find this is an Gini index. There is the entropy and the information gain on this split on this splitting. These are the splitting criteria. Okay, so before splitting, how do you do it after splitting? Okay, then we have to measure this the Gini index. So in this next class, so I'll be explaining to you with some numerical example. How do you compute? So based on this, so your main splitting criteria is on this thing. So there is a degree of impurity for each node, for the parent node as well as the child node. Then only you can choose. Yes, I'll have to choose these attributes. Okay. So example is important. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you. So how it is coming, how it is computing coming this for a single node. Then you have to see. Okay. So this is all about this today's lecture. Okay. So we'll again meet. So I'm sharing the PPT now. So you please go through it. How it can be understood. Okay, in this way. So you please follow the book of this, because this is a very important concepts as a decision tree. Okay, so we'll meet on because tomorrow is Saraswati Puja, so we'll not have any class. So we'll meet again on Friday 19th and 20th. So I'll take class on 19th and 20th both. Then the decision tree will be completed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.